from the Olympia weekend, and now she has got, I'll put it this way, Under Armour is peppering her pictures across the internet when I wake up in the morning to look at my Twitter feed while I'm waiting for coffee. So when Under Armour is putting out your picture, I would say that's a pretty good way of looking at things. So we're going to talk to her about what happened at the Olympia, her experience there. Of course, she's representing the Bay Area and now the greater fitness industry. She's becoming more and more of a powerful and/or household name. We're also at 125 going to be talking to Kevin Kurz. We're going to be getting into the San Jose Sharks, and also at 225 we're going to be talking to our beer insider Jason Petros of the Brewing Network. I'm Ted Ramey. You're listening to the show. We'll be back at the top of the hour with Breena Martinez.
Ball Blanco's good.
That's incredible. I mean, right off the bat, rookie season, placed 12th. And then the thing that got me, though, is I was sitting there going through my morning routine, and I get up at the crack of dawn, like 4 a.m., and I'm sitting there heating up my water to make my coffee. And while I'm doing that, I start going through my Twitter feed and just kind of scanning on the phone. I look down, and I see a picture go by, and I'm like, wait a minute, that was Breena. And I realized that Under Armour had tweeted out a picture of you as a motivational picture for people to stay, you know, like, I don't remember what the caption was. I'm sure you can remember, but I mean, Under Armour, I mean, that's Steph Curry. I mean, that means that's a huge arrival to have them using your image as part of their marketing campaign. I mean, that's huge.
It was definitely a blessing to be able to be recognized and catch the attention of, you know, not just a really huge company, but a company that I enjoy and love. And, you know, I'm a huge fan, obviously, of Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. And so for Under Armour to kind of see my hard work and give me a little shout out, I was floored. I mean, it was instant pre-workout. Again, yeah. I was ready to go back to the gym and lift.
That's awesome. And they used your image more than one time. I was going to say at least 3 times that I can remember off the top of my head. So they obviously, they like you. And I mean, I know you alluded to the fact there's no set in stone contract yet, but they're sending you stuff. So it's like there's a conversation at the very least.
Absolutely. There's definitely a conversation there. And like I said, I'm just going to, you know, keep my fingers crossed that things come through and just keep working hard. That's what's been kind of putting me in the right spot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, we are talking to IFBB Bikini Pro Breena Martinez, the Bay Area Zone, here in studio via Ring Central. What was the takeaway that you got in terms of judges and other people in the industry? Because I know, I mean, I'm not trying to harp on what you didn't do, but I'm sure they said, like, hey, this is where you can improve. This is how you can continue to become a better athlete. Because I'm sure at the one hand you were like, wow, I placed 12th. But the other hand, I know, you know, you're a competitive individual. You probably thought about the high placing for about half a second, but then you were like, how can I improve? What can I do to make myself into a better athlete here?
You hit the nail on the head, Ted. You know me very well. I was as excited as I was to get 12. I was more like, okay, how can I improve? Mm-hmm. It was literally half a second, like you said. And you know, I got a chance to talk with judges and other pros and coaches, and they all said that you have tremendous potential. They thought that I needed to kind of build myself up a little bit more. It came in a little too dieted down. My legs were a little bit not as conditioned as we wanted them to be. And then I needed to bring out even more confidence and sass to the stage, because let me tell you, Ted, that Olympia stage is huge. I mean, bigger than any stage I've ever stepped on, ever seen. You almost felt like an ant, and you really had to make sure your stage presence was like, I've been here before. This is not my first time at the rodeo. Yeah. And as a rookie, you can fake it as much as you want, but you know, I definitely could have brought even more. And I was very proud of my performance, mind you. Yeah. But I definitely could see where there was room for improvement. And I'm just glad that I have, you know, such great sponsors and people around me to kind of tell me like it is, so I can get better. And I'm already improving. You know, a couple weeks ago, I competed at the Europa show in Phoenix right after the Olympia. And that was actually my pro debut last year, where I placed 8th. And this year, I was able to get a top 5 placing, nice. A point towards Olympia, and got a check. So I'm like, I'm improving.
That's awesome. You know, it was funny because you shared, I don't remember if it was on Instagram or on Facebook, but a video that was backstage of you and all the women getting ready to go out there on stage. And it was funny because people are getting ready, and there's kind of like a very friendly atmosphere. But then in the shots where you guys were walking towards the stage, then suddenly it was like game face. Like you could tell everyone, like, it was just that switch was flipped, and it was like, okay, we go from being like, oh, we're all getting ready back here to, okay, now it's time to go compete against each other. Was that an interesting dynamic?
I mean, It's crazy because when you're backstage, everyone seems very friendly. Oh, you look good. No, you look good. Oh, I love your suit. Yeah, I love your hair. And then as soon as it's like, okay, numbers 1 through 18, it's like people just game faced. We're ready to go. We're thinking about, how we're going to execute, our routine and the smiles and everything. It's not just looking great in a bikini stepping on stage. There's a lot of things that go on behind that. Meals on time and just a lot of things like that. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, we're talking right now with IFBB Bikini Pro Breena Martinez here in studio. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to talk about her upcoming schedule. I know she's got 3 shows coming up. Also talk about her other side, not just as a competitor in the industry, but also as a trainer in the industry. So we're going to talk to her about that. But again, right now we are talking to Breena Martinez in studio. We're taking a break. I'm Ted Ramey. You're listening to the show. We'll be right back after this.
Sleep train is...
Welcome back to the show. Ted Ramey with you on this Friday afternoon. And we are joined now in studio, our second segment here with Bay Area native IFBB Bikini Pro Breena Martinez, fresh off a 12th place finish at the Olympia, which is, again, congratulations for a rookie. That's an incredible performance. And now I know, Breena, you've got 3 shows in the next 3 weekends. You talked about in the previous segment the idea that they thought you came in dieted down a little bit too much, you kind of said. So I think for people who don't realize that, like, a lot of this stuff comes down to, or at least my interpretation, because obviously I don't know it. No one wants to look at me with my shirt off on stage. But, I mean, this comes down to nutrient timing, when you're taking in certain foods, water levels. So, like, do you feel that, like, the next time you step on stage, is it going to be night and day compared to what you looked like at the Olympia, or is it just making these minor changes that give a more 3D appearance on stage? Or how exactly do you view it, and what do people look for maybe that aren't that familiar with the industry when they look at changes from an athlete from one show to the next?
I think I'm going to be completely different than what you see at the Olympia. I wasn't as proportionate as I wanted to be either. My upper body was a little bit more dieted down, and then my lower half was still very full. So you're going to see a lot more balance. You started to kind of see it in Phoenix because it was just a couple weeks away from the Olympia. And now that I've had about 6 to 7 weeks, since the Olympia, that's plenty of time for me to kind of reshape, especially with the program that my coach Kim Odo has me on. So I'm going to be more balanced, more proportionate, very, very conditioned.
Yeah, and the thing that I always wonder about, because I've heard this with other athletes, whenever you start putting traveling into the equation and putting the different stresses on the body, I mean, because the Olympia, that's the one event, that's the big weekend, and then you competed after that. Did you feel more drained after that second show than you did after the Olympia? And are you now thinking about, with everything that's going to go on in 3 shows and 3 weekends, that you might have to increase how much you're eating, or just tweak things on the fly? Or is that do you have a nutritionist you work with that, or is that the coach? Is that his duties as well? Or because I'm ignorant in a lot of that capacity, so please explain it to somebody who doesn't really know.
Absolutely. So Kim Odo is pretty much the nutritionist. He also looks at my body and says, hey, we need to build you here, we need to bring this down, and to help design a program for me to make sure that my body comes in the way that we want it to. So I've been following his program since the Olympia, and that's kind of why I feel like my body has been going through changes in a good way. I mean, there's some developments and I'm like, wow, I've been waiting to get that, and it's happening. So it does take some time, though. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, so that's why I feel like these next 3 shows is where I'm probably going to look the best that I've ever looked before. And then I'm also working with him because I have 2 shows in SoCal, so I can kind of tweak my posing. So up until now, I've done my own posing, done my own training. My coach before was also kind of overseeing my diet, but now I actually have, my coach is very well known. I mean, he had 19 athletes at the Olympia this year. So he's definitely been around for a while and knows what he's doing, and so I'm just really excited to kind of get even more help with where I need to be, and I think he's really excited to work with me as well, because he definitely was saying, hey, I think next year we should get you in that top 5 at the Olympia. And I'm like, let's do it.
Love it. Again, we're talking to Breena Martinez, IFBB Pro, here in studio via Ring Central. And just the last question I'll have for you today, because I know you're also a trainer when you're not competing. You're working with other people, working on their own individual goals. Now that you have I mean, I won't say you're competing at the top of the mountain. I know that you still want to conquer the mountain. You want to plant your flag. Do you find that, not necessarily being an inspiration, but understanding how to convey the mindset to the people that you're working with? Do you now feel like you're more competent and capable of that because of what you've had to deal with to get towards that competing at the top level of your sport?
Absolutely. When I first started, I was kind of coming from the modeling background and, classified as skinny fat and didn't really have any muscle to me. And so I kind of made myself a guinea pig. I gained 20 pounds and then I lost 22 pounds in 8 weeks to do my very first show. So it's like, I know what it takes to have a high metabolism and be lean and want to build the muscle mass, but then I also know what it's like to be quote unquote fluffy and you want to kind of bring that down. So throughout my journey as a bodybuilder, I'm always taking notes and I'm always kind of being mindful of the different, stages my body goes through. And that way I can be more real with my clients and tell them, look, you're going to feel this way, or this could happen, or if this doesn't happen, this will. And I think that my clients, appreciate the realness and the honesty that I give them. If you're not ready, I'm going to tell you you're not ready, or it's going to take longer, or you're not following what you're supposed to be doing. I can see so right here in your measurements. And I think they like that. I don't BS them. I tell them exactly like it is, and they trust me because they see what I put myself through on a daily basis.
Awesome. Well, great stuff, Breena. Always a pleasure having you in studio. We wish you the best of luck over the next 3 weeks, and we can't wait to see the results and have you back in real soon.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you again. That has been Breena Martinez, IFBB Bikini Pro, joining us in studio. You're listening to the show. I'm Ted Ramey. We're back after this.